I'm your host, Paul Barron, and today we're going to talk about Chipotle. Is it a fail or is it just a fail? Let's find out. All right, so Chipotle's earnings came in this week, and man, were they short-sighted on where they were going. Wall Street is attacking this brand, and rightly so, Chipotle. You guys were the gods of fast casual. How could you let this out of your hand? Let's talk about what your problem is, because there's some light at the end of the tunnel. The number one thing that you guys are faced with is a sentiment attack on the brand. Now, 2 years ago, the Coli hits. You continue to not face the music when it comes to being able to getting those consumers to trust you again when it comes to food safety. When we look at your sentiment scores, you can look at how your sentiment numbers have increased and decreased almost in line with your stock price. This is an important thing for a brand that lived and breathed social media. Now here's the thing, when you look at sentiment, these are the brand advocates of Chipotle. We can kind of see by the chart this kind of movement lightly and slightly throughout the year, but what you do see is a downward trend. Now the biggest factor here is I think that the brand advocates are actually staying with the brand. The problem is they've been unable to get the new brand advocates to spread the good word. That's why we're seeing slow sales and not an acceleration in restaurant growth. Just as an example, over 13 million people are influenced by Chipotle's brand advocates. Now, think about that for a second. If you've got brand advocates that are out there really on top of your brand and ahead of it, they're affecting a certain number. Chipotle happens to have a ton of brand advocates, and they aren't talking well about the brand. So it's affecting over 13 million consumers. When you have that kind of word of mouth that's occurring in social media, you definitely are going to see slowing sales. This is not something that you cannot avoid, but it is something you can fix, Chipotle. When you look at the number of cover-ups that have been going on with Chipotle, the E. coli outbreak and the continuing health concerns for what was once the leading fast casual brand, this is not something that can be easily fixed, but it is something that can be addressed by Chipotle. All right, so how do we fix the slide? The first thing is build on your brand advocates. Figure out a way to get these brand advocates who are still faithful to the brand to start to convince other people to go back to Chipotle or try it for the first time. That's number one. Let's develop a new message around safety. This means Steve Ells has got to come out and put commitment behind this brand around safety. And I'm not talking about a press release. This has got to be real action for this brand. The third thing is you need to go back to the basics, and that is sourcing. You've got to go back and start to really tell and sell that story home. Get back in the game of creating amazing content. Over-deliver on service. You can't be cutting the line in low times in the afternoon. I've experienced this around Chipotle's, around our office here. I go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a line out the door. What the hell is going on? There's 3 people on the line, for God's sake. That's not customer service. That's just pissing people off. Kill the queso. It's just not a great product. Not every brand can hit home runs on every single thing they do. But I got one for you. Double down on tacos. It's time to get the taco in the game. There's people kicking ass out there on tacos, and Chipotle, you're the leader. You should be kicking ass on tacos. Listen, Chipotle was the golden child and still is the golden child. They have the chance and the will and the capability to pull this out. I think Chipotle can still be a plugged-in brand, but today they got some problems and they got to fix them fast. Plugged in, Chipotle. Unplugged, Chipotle. We'll catch you next week.